Ideal Professionals video tutorials. In this tutorial, I want to talk about introduction to financial modeling. What is a financial model? What is the difference between a financial model and spreadsheet solution you create? We also take a look at an example, a simple example. Then we look at what are the independent and dependent variable. A financial model is a simple, practical answer is that a financial model is designed to represent in mathematical terms the relationship among the variables of a financial problem so that it can be used to answer what if questions or make projections. Some spreadsheets you create may answer a what if questions but are not primarily designed for that objective. So let's look at a simple example. This is my spreadsheet. I want to calculate using spreadsheet the taxable income based on your taxable income. Let's say my taxable income for last year, taxable income let's assume 50,000. What is my after-tax profit, after-tax income for last year based on my taxable income for last year? What is the, assuming we have, assuming we have the tax rate for 20%, tax rate is equals to 20%. Now, to do this, we know that to get our after-tax income for last year, we can say solution our tax income, we can put it here, 50,000. They now have 20% of 150,000. 50,000. We now say, let's put a comma and reduce the indent. So 20% of 50,000, can now say this place is equals to 20% multiplied by 50,000. That will be our, that will be 10,000. Then we will now deduct it to get our after tax income. After tax income, after tax income, after tax, we now deduct is equals to, now deduct 50,000 minus 10,000 will now give us our 40,000. 40,000. This spreadsheet solution will give you the answer to your immediate question, but it is not useful. It's not a useful financial model. Why? Because it does not capture the key mathematical relationship between taxable income and taxes. The result is that if you now try to answer the what if question, now let's look at a what if question. What would my after tax income have been if my taxable income were 10,000 naira higher? You will have to go back to start doing your calculation again by hand. However, you can set up your spreadsheet to calculate the taxes on any taxable income using the different tax bracket and tax rate, and use the computed tax number to calculate your after tax income. You will then have a financial model because it will capture the relationship between taxable income and taxes, between our taxable income and taxes. You also will be able to use this model to answer the what if question I posted before. In creating financial model, you always have to keep in mind that you want to capture as many of the independencies among the variables of the model as possible. In addition, you want to structure your model in such a way that it's easy to ask the what if question. That is, change the value of the independent variable and observe how they will affect the value of the key variables. You also should recognize that some of the relationship, as in the cases of taxes, are easy to establish and exact, but many other will be appropriate or even unknown. You will have to come up with them based on your financial theory, analysis of data, and so on. And coming up with this relationship is one of the major challenges of financial modeling. Generally, the more of this relationship you can come up with and incorporate into your model, the more useful your model will be. The next thing I want to talk about now are the independent variables and dependent variables. we can say that the purpose of a model is to calculate the value of certain dependent variable for this value provided for it is independent variable. It is therefore important to understand the difference between independent variable and dependent variable. What are independent variables? Independent variables are also called the input or external variables. The model's user or creator input the value of these variables. They are not calculated by the model. For example, this taxable income is an independent variable. Independent variable. Independent variable. A model may also include a special type of input variable called a parameter. Parameters are independent variable in that their values are also provided by the creator or user of the model. The difference is that their value are expected to remain constant or change infrequently within the context of the model. For example, the tax rate is an example of parameter. As you create a model, it is useful to keep the parameters together but separate from each other independent variables. They should still be easy to see and change. However, the variable whose value are created by the model are called calculated or dependent variable. Calculated or dependent variable. Like this first that we arrived at, our calculated, is a product of the model. That is the, now simple example, 40,000 is the calculated independent variable. Some of them may be intermediate variable, calculated for use in other calculations. Others are of primary interest to the user and are the output variable of the model. Models are always created to observe how the values of the output variable will change with the changes in the values of one or more independent variable. Dependent variable are one of those values we want to so that is the independent parameters, independent variables. We also have parameters, they are also independent variables. Then we have dependent variables. These are the output of the model. One must also recognize that from time to time some dependent variable that were previously not considered output variable of the model can become so, and vice versa. In this tutorial, we talked about what's a financial model. What is the difference between a financial model and the spreadsheet solution you create? We also looked at a simple example. Then we also explained what an independent and dependent variable is. I hope this has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing.